All right, so you're the first one I'm interviewing today, so why don't you say who you are and who you work for?
I'm Corey Miller, and I work for Magenic in Chicago.
And yeah, you actually you drove up here, you didn't fly up here, right?
That's right.
Hey, you are
Hardcore.
You are dedicated. How long was the trip to get up here?
6.5 hours of pure bliss.
Wow, I actually had on the introduction slides this morning the people from the farthest reaches, north, south, east, and west, and I put Wisconsin, I totally forgot. We have speakers coming from Illinois, that's even worse. Farther, I should say.
And it should be double since I drove.
Exactly, that is commitment right there. Or trying to save money. So, you're doing a talk on user experience, right?
Yes, sort of, yeah.
So, what gravitates you towards user experience? Why do you think it's so important?
Well, I run a user group in Chicago called Designers and Developers, and we've really seen a large amount of people massing to this culture of concept of user experience. Okay. And it's actually fairly new because they don't talk about it too much in schools. It's a kind of a concept we've kind of made up as we go in the programming world. But generally, most people have realized that we develop applications for users, and we don't want them to suck, right? But not all of us not all of us are designers,
right?
So what I'm bringing to the talk is to kind of get you design minded. Okay. We do make decisions that are very much design oriented, and so if we can define that stuff and help improve that, we can build better applications overall.
And now user experience, that's not specific to any technology, but since my world is usually in the Microsoft world, do you see XAML as being a big contributor to making applications much easier to create something that's specific for user experience? And what I'm getting at is, I remember like 10, 15 years ago, it was a lot harder to do some more fancier designs, things that looked cleaner and easier. And it seems like with the whole XAML approach with Blend and stuff, that you can get some really cool looking applications. Would you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, that's so I'm also an MVP at Silverlight and WPF for that very reason, right? Silverlight and WPF, not just XAML alone, but the concepts of what they're doing to the UI is changing the way we develop applications. I mean, before, the consistency in our applications was very much the standard control suite, right? Everyone knows. I was asked a while ago, how many different ways can you really do a web form? And now with Silverlight and WPF coming to the table, you can actually do more stuff. Sorry.
Lots of people walking around getting distracted.
So with that coming to the table, you're actually able to develop something more than just web forms. You're actually able to start linking things with how people interact with things in the real world. Okay. And you're able to make better applications that are very different than your standard traditional web form.
If there's one thing that you would say as a user experience person that you see people do over and over as a mistake, quote unquote, there's one thing that comes to mind.
I wouldn't say it's a mistake. I guess my very first thing I talk about in my talk is get to know your users. Create personas, because we build applications for users, and most of the time when I go into a client, they just haven't even talked to them. They are completely working in their own shell, and they use the word I a lot. I like this. I think this is a better way. And if you ever go into one of these scenarios, they're very passionate about what they're building. So we just need to convert that passion towards building applications for real people that isn't but our users.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it.